Alright, starting off the video, I'm going to show you guys some quick proof of executions, but also me calling this out to the free Discord group, actually, to not just my paid students, but literally to basically everyone in the free Discord server. So if you're not in there, definitely join it. You know, I post a lot of free trade stuff in there, but here's a post real quick, just going over one of the trades that I later took. It was actually my last trade for today on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, or 2025. And you guys can see this is a free chat, obviously, and I called out to everyone that if I see a stop hunter setup, I'll take it to the POI above, else I don't see any potential A plus setups. You guys can check the time for this if you want. And here's the proof of executions. I entered 2 minis on ES and I exited at this exact price, which is where I TP'd, and that's my execution there. And after that, we have here, this is basically a screenshot of basically when I called it out, and you can check time as well if you want. This is before anything occurred. As I said, literally everyone in the Discord, if you're in the advanced course, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. If you're not and you only seen the free beginners course, you won't know what my setup here is. So that's up to your knowledge and whether or not you're interested in that. But I basically said if I see a stop hunter setup, I'll take it to the POI above. Else I don't see any potential A plus setups. This was my last setup for the day, and I'll just delete these now just to show you guys this proof. But that's referring to this setup right here. So before I get into that though, let's just go off one by one, man. So session open here. I wasn't really particularly looking for any longs here. This is way too high up personally, because if you look at this, I mean, look at this entire, we have a massive imbalance here. So we obviously want to be filling these massive imbalances. If you go into 1 hour, the imbalance is even clearer. The only POI we have next after 1 hour that's in discount really is this sell to buy right here. And you could probably refine this to something to the lower time frames if you want, to 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, to get something more precise. But at open, you guys know I typically I avoid taking trades right at open just because of an increased volatility. And as long as you, I guess, set your stop loss, and like as soon as you enter, so I guess as long as you can set your stop loss in time, you're chilling. But for the most part, I'm not a huge fan of volatility in terms of right at open, like exactly at open. And you can see we had this huge push candle, bearish candle here right at 9:30 a.m. open, which is a New York Stock Exchange open. I'm not talking about kill zone open. You can take trades before New York Stock Exchange opens. It's just when it opens, you either want to be already in a trade, break even, or really just wait out the volatility and see if you can get a setup later. But I know someone, I'm gonna check Discord real quick. I think I know someone that did actually take this short here. This is basically what I call internal swing structure here. I've mentioned it in the course before, but once you get actually tradable ranges like this is basically internal swing structure instead of candle to candle internal fractal structure. So you have new developed internal swing structure based on new value created in the market. And you can use time theory here. We've been bearish for 2 hours, 2.5. What makes you think we'll just immediately turn and have a huge reversal, breaking all these highs here to the upside, right? So most likely what that means is, again, we're trading my continuation models, flips, origins, strong highs, and if a high sweeps, that is a high probability liquidity sweep. So I'm gonna check Discord real quick and I'll get back to you guys because I believe one of our members did take this trade here. All right, so here we got one of our members here. He's actually quite new to the 100 risk reward advanced course in our basically private group, but he said it's up to risk reward for a day. He actually took this short here. It's a pretty bad. I'll see if I can get a better picture real quick later in a bit. But you can see he took the short here. Obviously, he took these longs at loss, which I also took these longs, but I still ended my day up just like he did because we manage our risk. We understand to wait for better A plus setups, and we can eventually still end the day green. So you can see he took a very nice, I don't know exact risk reward that he got on the short, but obviously he had the exact great trade idea in mind, and he had his, basically everything was spot on, right? And you know, he's been doing very well. I've been checking his course progress. He's been completing the course at a pretty fast pace. There's a ton of videos in the course because I want you guys to get the best buck for your money. But yeah, he's been doing very well. He's been keeping track and basically being up to date with his knowledge and stuff. But you can see he marked the sweep and break structure very perfectly. So here it is with a better enlarged picture, high quality. He took the OB entry model, like I said, after internal sweep here, internal swing starter sweep, and this would be internal break structure. Perfect analysis from him following my system that I teach to all the course students. And yeah, I just said basically I did take this short just because, general for me, I'm not a fan of taking trades right at open or basically right before open. If I was in a short, like, just to find an example, if I was in a short like up here or maybe here or whatever, I'd probably move to break even or such. Or if I was in a short here, I'd probably hold it. But even then, it's low probability just because we're already low in the leg here. If I was shorting up here, this would be very safe to hold past open. But other than that, it's definitely for me personally, it's just a personal thing. Not a fan of taking a trade basically right at open. So that's why I didn't take that short. I missed it and I paid this time for missing it. But the other times where we create big wicks that will open, I'm saving myself from losses. But essentially for this trade, you could have, if you were just targeting just a simple mechanical system targeting, was this the 1 hour or where's the 1 hour? Because we had a 1 hour. I think this was the 1 hour I drew out. We have a 1 hour demand here. If you just target the 1 hour demand, this is like a 1 to 8.8, 1 to 9 risk reward setup here. Literally a 1 to 9 risk reward setup. So if you caught this banger right at open, man, congrats to you, because that can make up and give you a ton of not only profits but a ton of wiggle room to try these long attempts here and some of these other short attempts, which I'll get into in a bit. One of my other boys, Tyler, he's been in the course and he's actually in the private one-on-one mentorship program for quite some time, quite a while. I think it's only been a year or so, but he said he's up 13 risk reward today. He caught a 10R in the short to the 1 hour demand actually, which I just showed you guys. And then he also caught the stop under setup. So he's been doing very good this month so far based on what he's been telling me in terms of his training P&L and such. But I'm guessing he might have held a little bit further, or he had a tighter entry maybe with a stop loss. But nonetheless, still a great trade right there. Going in the pro trend direction. This is an A+ setup here. We had a sweep. We really had all the confluences. Drawing liquidity is very clear. Gap, everything. Now here, this trade, I took a very tiny loss. This is basically a break even for me. If you were to be very specific, let's see, this is about a 25% loss. And I'm going to go over this real quick because this is something that you guys can add to your system if you want. I find it tends to save me a lot when my trade idea is, I'm not very confident in my trade idea basically. So I said I managed essentially here very aggressively to break even after a second's internal traded character after we tapped into the OB entry model. And the reason why is because we already took out inducement, which is valid PY prior to my entry. This kind of invalidates the trade, but because this is a high time frame demand, I was willing to still risk it, right? So you see we took out inducement here, and whenever we have inducement, guys, and we have a lot of highs, look, and you guys know I use bullish candles as highs, bearish candles as lows, obviously. A bullish candle here, so this would be the high here, or this high here, or this high here. We have several highs here, and what happens is we don't always tend to run all these highs here, right? You mainly want to be looking at the high that's correlated with the PY. The PY would be this, right? Even though this is inducement, this would be like a PY you would mark out, and this would be a high. So like, for example, this here would probably be the most ideal high as inducement. So we did actually already take out inducement, and such, it makes this trade a lot lower probability, because if we already hit a potential target, price shouldn't be necessarily, in the sense if price comes back, we want to see another entry model form. Else, this could be us as catching some people call it like, I don't know exactly where some people call it in retail terms, but essentially you're just catching counter and trade at this point, right? And the thing is, if price really was bullish here, right? If price was really bullish here, we inverse this IFEG, price should not stop here and reverse down here. Instead, it should continue higher at least to, this flip got mitigated, to at least the origin up here. But you can see how aggressively it reversed. This is obviously a lower probability setup. I came into the setup knowing that's low probability, willing to risk it because, first trade of the day, whatever. And again, I managed my stop loss very nicely here. So almost a break-even trade here. Where was the internal seconds? I have a video backtesting this as an 80% plus accuracy. There's internal break structure or internal fractal candle break on the 1 minute. This correlates to usually a second's internal break structure or internal change of character. And thus we should be holding this low here for the most part. and continue higher from here if we really want to be bullish. If not, we would obviously just dump right after we just mitigated this fair value gap basically here. Even though I don't trade fair value gaps, I usually use POCs, which we have a POC right there that perfectly got hit. But essentially, there are times where, yes, if you manage your trades like this too aggressively, where you move stop loss below after the internal change of character, internal break structure, there are times where price wicks it, sweeps this low, and then continues in a direction. Yes, that happens, but usually for lower probability setups like this, I want to be more cautious with my trade management. So however you want to manage your trades is up to you in terms of the drawdown you're able to accept, as well as essentially also how many trades you take a day, right? If you only take one trade a day, you maybe would just want to keep the stop loss open because it's going to be either your winner or loser of the day, and that's it. But for me, I take multiple trades a day because I have multiple different setups and I use them in different occasions based on context. And I tell you guys how to use them properly. And so for me, personally, if I take a 1 hour loss, I'm fine with taking another trade. We also failed twice to push high here. So this is when I basically flip my bias short. So we tapped into 1 hour demand. You guys know we typically get a sweep in a 1 hour demand. Okay, I got swept here. I can accept myself as liquidity. Don't tilt, none of that. Don't make emotional trades here. I had an OB entry model and I just failed. It immediately, and this happens, man. It just dumps towards my stop loss. It is what it is. All good. I'm down about negative 1.25 risk reward at this point. Now, typically, my typical rule is I don't take more than 2 attempts per POI. Preferably, I keep it to 1 limit or 1 basic entry per POI. And this is considering I'm getting these entry model confirmations, right? But yeah, we're not traders spamming entry models. There's a difference. We're trading them with context, and in this case, my context, my draw on liquidity was wrong, and I accept it. And in the private students chat, I even said this. I preferably want us to take out the swing low, this low here, which by going back in replay mode, it should show better. Let's see. Does it show it? Oh, I think I have to go back. I have to go back more time, I think. Hold on. There it is. We had previously low. I was looking for previously low to get swept. And so that will be my next draw on liquidity if we don't hold this 1 hour. Yes, we have a PY also here, but the fact that we didn't hold this 1 hour above, we're likely to just go for liquidity instead. And so anyway, I didn't have my target anyway all the way down in case we still held that origin all the way down there. So I just kept it, just slightly aggressive, that's all. But nonetheless, took a loss here, all good. I was just testing my system here with stop losses there. You can ignore that. We had a stop hunter setup here, and I'm willing to take this, Again, it's part of my system, and I just execute my system whenever I see the mechanical models present itself with the right context. In this case, took a stop loss. Could I have managed my trade here better? Yes, 100%. I could have moved, like I said, moved my stop loss to cover this high here to take about a negative 0.5 hour loss, or I could have moved to break even after this internal break here, but I did not. So opportunity to break even, I did not. Like I said, hit a stop loss here with the full loss. You can remove that. I was just trading in 15 seconds, see if that would hold when I was trading, but that obviously did not hold. Usually for me, a general rule is also for moving stop losses, really, if you want to do that, I teach most of my students to just keep it simple, right? Trading is already difficult itself. You want to keep it as simple as possible, especially when you're already entering the trade and you waited so patiently for entry. For the most part, I don't trail stop loss. For the most part, I don't take partials, or I basically never take partials. You will almost never, ever see me take partials. Maybe in my old videos because I used to, but not anymore, right? It affects your overall risk reward too much on your trades when it averages out. It's not optimal. I've done the backtesting and math calculations. It's better to just stick to one full TP. I'd rather you take everything off at one risk reward consistently with a static RR target and have a high win rate than someone that partials like 3 to 4 times, which I would have used to do, and your win rate's all over the place, right? And your risk reward as well. So keep your trading consistent, guys. So usually it would be just full TP, break even, or full stop loss. And one more rule I have is usually if I do want to move my stop loss because maybe I'm not confident in a trade or the trade should already be holding here and anticipating this high to not it shouldn't realistically get swept, for example. If my stop loss that I do move it to is basically very close to my original stop loss, keep your original stop loss. You're not gonna be saving too much really from there in terms of your loss really. So I just keep my original stop loss. But usually if it saves me like at least 50% of my stop original risk or more, which is I basically saved 75% of my stop loss here, then yes, for sure, it's obviously a better idea and it's worth it to me at times, right? But for the most part, I don't do this. This is just something I've been experimenting a little bit recently, but not enough data to validify doing it long term yet. Now we have a mini QM model here. You guys should know what a QM model is. It is literally this. I gone through tons of examples in the course. I have an entire video in the course modules going over what a QM model is, how you can anticipate and identify them, right? And just a mini QM model right here. You can see it for me. So with that in mind, with the QM model in mind, we can literally anticipate with a high quality drawn liquidity that this low is weak and we should still be continuing further with this bearish trend, right? So when did I flip my bias? After this second long. That was when I flipped my bias. We have 2 attempts in a same POI. My rule is if this breaks, we have to look for a different POI. We can't be trading this exact same POI here and just spamming trades here. So took a loss there, and I took a break even here. I had an IFG set up here. You can see the indicator also marked it perfectly for me. This is not the best entry here just because of how far away the stop loss is really and basically how big of a displacement. But we had very good momentum here, so I was willing to take this, and I basically B'd on this trade. We came back to mitigate this OB, so if you had that OB, you would have been fine through this whole trade. But I basically break even around here once we had this internal break, and it came back and hit me out break even. And you may ask why I didn't keep the trade open this time. It's because I know that this high can still be weak as liquidity. And also the main thing is my stop loss. I didn't place my stop loss at the standard conservative stop loss. This is an aggressive stop loss choice. And when you have an aggressive stop loss, you tend to need to manage your trades more aggressively because price can come back, take out your entry and still be valid because once we maintain this high here, shorts are still valid. So if you take this loss here, I don't want to ever see you guys go long here immediately because majority of times I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna get stopped out too many times and you'll get confused and it's a whole mess because that's what I used to do until I figured this out with liquidity and understand internal liquidity, how it works as well. This is internal liquidity here. We had a stop under setup here. Basically anticipating price to continue lower. I literally entered as soon as we had that set up with my stop loss where I originally should have had it if I had a normal conservative stop loss. And we had a 6.6 risk reward here. So this trade, think about it guys. This is why I like trading a high risk reward system. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy high risk reward, right? My average risk reward usually is 3.6. That's my average based on my data, 3.3 to 3.6. And when we're it's around 60 to 65%. Depending on the setups I'll be taking. But on average, it averages out to those stats, which is still a very good EV. That's about a 1.8, I believe. You guys can check my website to verify that if you want. But point is, this one winner, all I had to do is be a patient for an hour, wait for my setup, manage my trades properly, and look, this one winner makes up literally these 2 losses plus this first loss here, and I'm up literally basically 4 hours for the day just off this one trade. And this one trade took 20 minutes, guys. A 20-minute trade got me up from down 2 risk reward basically to up 4, which is a huge difference. Now, I didn't take this trade here obviously because I was already in this trade here shorting. I just sent it to this group as an example of another stop under setup. You could have taken perfectly down here. Again, why is price? A lot of people that are new to trading, they gonna think too long here. When I should tell you, no, there's no PY here to long off of. You might be using this, maybe. This might have been unmitigated here. But with context, we already failed to hold this 1 hour twice. What makes you think we're going to hold it all the way down here after this momentum here? And this momentum isn't really the main issue. The main issue is that we already failed twice. And all this just looks like accumulation to me to essentially go for a big move, which is literally what we had, and we just went straight for a pre-stay low. I mean, man, we just dumped like crazy. I missed that one, literally half the move, but it is what it is, man. We're just trading probabilities. This definitely could have just mitigated the origin and had high time for reversal to the upside. We don't know that, right? So a lot of new traders that don't understand, that didn't learn properly on how the market truly moves, which is off, by the way, aka liquidity, and understanding which liquidity points to mark is also very important. They're going to think of this as an internal trading character, and they're going to be longing this, which is not what you do. You don't long against your drawn liquidity. You trade towards your drawn liquidity. So anything that is against your drawn liquidity is liquidity sweeps, whether that's internal or external. So this would have been a nice stop hunter setup if you miss this original trade, which is completely all good. Just be patient. You will get this setup for the most part, and that's a 9 risk reward. Be held towards pre-stay low. We dumped, and look, we had an instant reaction. So whenever you sweep liquidity, you guys know, an instant reaction is what we want if we're looking for reversals. Literally no entry here, man. We had an impulse model delivery here. So you could have took an impulse model if you wanted to here. I missed it, and I was waiting for an OB entry model. I sent this to the group, and it never happened. And I tell you guys, man, when you sweep high time from liquidity, or any times of liquidity in general, or internal liquidity sweeps, it's a lot lower chance of us to come back to the OB. And if we do come back for OB entry model, there's a little bit lower chance that the OB entry model actually holds, because typically we would just go, we should have momentum after sweeping liquidity. So here, this is very obvious inducement. If you don't recognize this as inducement, you have to go watch my inducement videos in the Advanced 100 risk reward course, because this is very clearly inducement. And there's specific rules that I made mechanically, and I even made a new video defining how you can define mechanically what's inducement. So watch that video. I'm not going to go too in depth into explain this here, because this video would be too long. Not too long, it's just I don't want to give too much away here. I don't know where I'm going to be posting this yet, but we took out inducement here. Whether or not this made equal highs or not entirely sure. But my point is, I was still looking for price to hit a PY. We had a PY right here. We could refine it to this, buy to sell, or you just use this as the origin. And that was my trade. I showed you. I think I showed you guys the screenshot, right? Did I show you guys a screenshot? Yeah, I showed you guys the screenshot earlier. If you go watch the earlier parts of the video, this was the trade here with execution proof, right? I took this trade. As soon as you take that low out, I'm entering. Stop loss, you want to cover, the best stop loss is here. But to me, since we have inducement here, we're not in even a valid POI. If this was a flip, I probably would have had a bigger stop loss. But since this is inducement, it should get ran pretty fast. And we have huge imbalance right above. So this worked out perfectly. It gave me 3 risk reward in literally a matter of 10, 13-ish minutes. And that ended my day, y'all. Basically up 7 risk to reward, okay? Now, how long was my trading session today? From the start of my first trade, about 3 hours. So this is typically standard for me. Sometimes I finish my trading day within literally an hour after open. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. It just all depends, man. But today was about a 3-hour trading session, and I was done here, man. You know, and I told the Discord here also I was done. If you check the free Discord chat or even the paid premium group chat, I don't remember which one I sent it to, but essentially, you know, I said I was done here because I don't see any other A+ setups. We had a setup here to run this trendline liquidity here. I sent this to a group, but I didn't take it personally. I missed it. This is impulse delivery. You would be targeting all this, and we did eventually later hit it, but obviously, you know, price took a while because we're not inside kill zone, so price moves slightly slower, and we're near power hour, so we should get some volatility soon back into the market. Unlike all this chop, you can see basically I was able to avoid bad price action after knowing there's not much else for price to do in terms of like where to go. Whenever you don't have a clear draw on liquidity, guys, don't take a trade. It's better to sit on your hands and wait for something to be more clear. I think a lot of people lose trades is also because they force too many trades in bad price action. If you're forcing trades, maybe like going up and down, or just taking random trades in this, you're just gonna lose a ton of long. You're like, if you're at long, you're just gonna lose a ton, right? You want to maintain and control your losses for the most part in your trading. So like to me, really, what else? I was not short bias at all here. I said since we took out, where was it? Previous day, we already took out previous day low, and we're bullish on a daily. We're bound to go up further, right? We're deep in discount. We are very deep in discount. Like if you go to the 1 hour, I mean, we are deep in discount. Like this would be the original range. We already broke past the range low, right? And we had a nice reaction off the previous day high or previous day low. So to me, I would only be looking for longs, and obviously I'm not going to continue longing up here since after we hit this PY, because this PY can hold. It's a lower probability to hold. It held this time, but majority of times it's not going to. So I would only be interested later on in taking this trade, but I was off the charts and I was just monitoring the charts, and I'm just like, got to stick to my system. I don't want to get too greedy to a point where, I'm up 7 risk reward after taking two-ish losses in the beginning. I just call it a day here. Price action was delivering very bad. I'm just not a fan of trading when you see bad price action, because you can anticipate bad price action to follow unless it clears up. So sure, you could have said in hindsight there's some continuation trades here, but we did still have a ton of choppiness here trading. So the only entry model value would have been this, and you'll be longing to take out this trendline liquidity. Let me see if I can find the screenshot real quick of me calling out this trendline liquidity as a draw on liquidity to the private group. So here, quick screenshot to the group. It's not the most clear because Discord, but I had literally trendline liquidity marked out, and I was telling you guys this was a draw, and we took it out. Look how perfect draw was here. We took it out perfectly. And what happened right after? We reversed, and obviously the market closed, And in fact, also one more confluence is my daily bias was bearish, so I did go against that. So that would be something you could say if you want to look for reasons why your longs failed here. Well, my daily bias was bearish. Now, that doesn't mean the whole day is going to be bearish, right? We did indeed still hit a valid PY in my eyes and my system. So still followed my system nonetheless, but having a daily bias a little bit going against me is, just something that does lower my win rate a bit based on my backtest data. The daily bias indicator tends to be more often right than wrong. So whenever my draw on liquidity, if it is in line with daily bias, it improves my win rate significantly. So hope you guys do find that this video helpful. I know these trade recaps are kind of long at times, but I do want to put as much information and knowledge to you guys as I can in these videos. And if you guys enjoy this, just all I ask is subscribe and like. And if you want to join the private group, join the private mentorship, or take the 100 Risk Reward Advanced course, and I'll see you guys in there.